got a fresh character sheet all ready to go. And I'm going to do an occultist now. So same as before, D100 for first name is 46. That's Jesse. And next is 1. Jesse Abbott. Hey, Abbott. if you like Robin Hood Men in Tights. Jokes are always funny when you have to explain them afterwards. Okay, so that's the name. Pronouns. I will say she, her, just to keep it interesting. Okay, now let's do traits. So yeah, I'm going to run through these and then I'll read them all out when I'm done. I will do an investigator generator website as well, like I have with We Deal in Lead and with Runecairn. So basically you refresh the page and it'll give you a brand new investigator for every time you refresh the page automatically, which saves a lot of time. Of course, you can always roll on the table, because I enjoy rolling on the table, but if you want to save time, you can. Okay, so for traits for Jesse. So Jesse has a slim physique with a square face, weathered skin, alert eyes, and matted hair. She speaks in an eloquent manner. She is disciplined yet aggressive. Very interesting. Now, specialism, I know that she's going to be an occultist. So let's have a look at the actual occultist. So touchstones are, as I said before, John Constantine, Johnny Smith, Frank Bannister. So from the Frighteners, Peter Jackson's film, the film Peter Jackson did before Lord of the Rings, shot in New Zealand. Great film with Michael J. Fox. So he plays a paranormal investigator who can actually see the dead, but he fakes it. He fakes hauntings to kind of get people to pay him to clear a house. So he's like a fake Ghostbuster, but with actual ghosts. It's good, yeah, worth a watch. That should be on my letterboxed Appendix N list. But I have a feeling it isn't, so I'm going to make a note of that. Yeah, those are the character touchstones. So again, with the stat bonus, so for Profiler you got +2 to Mind. For Occultist you get +2 to Will, because Will is a stat you'd use more often with Occultist skills. Equipment, you get a sigil, cigarettes and matches, lockpick, and tarot cards. So again, lockpick, that can be as mechanical as you want it to be, or it can just be like a flavor thing. Cigarettes and matches, because Constantine smokes a lot, and there was even a storyline where he got lung cancer, essentially, because of smoking so much. And he had to ask a devil to cure it. He tricked a devil into curing it for him. So, skills for Occultist, we've got Commune. Essentially, this is talk to the dead or speak with the dead. So, either a corpse or a spirit. Like if there's no corpse around, or if there's a spirit in the area, you can attempt to talk to the dead. There's a chance that you'll enrage the dead, which is always interesting and fun. There's also Herald, which is like that kind of psychometry where you can read a glimpse of past, present, or future from someone or something. The heralds, where you pull that from would be from the dossier, either of the killer or the victim. That's why it's nice having all of that information to pull from. So if there's something in there that the investigators haven't found yet, then one of these ways is like using one of these skills can get that information. Let's do the psych profile for Jesse. So what was your first encounter with the occult? So because the occultist, you're assuming that there's a kind of clear connection with the supernatural. So what was that, like what triggered that? What was your first encounter? So 5. I had a vision of my own death and avoided the plane crash. So I'm being a bit cheeky here. Final Destination came out in 2000, but that's clearly what it's referring to. But it's fine. I'll allow it. I'll allow it for myself. So right, that's my first encounter with the occult. I had a vision of my own death and avoided the plane crash. And ever since then, I've been able to speak with the dead. All right, how do I feel about my powers? 5. Awesome, it helps me get laid. Excellent. I'm glad I put that one in there, because I think it's a fun, it's a fun entry, and it tells you something different about the occultist. So Jessie uses it to her advantage. And what scares Jessie the most? 6. That the end of the world is welcomed by so many. Yes. So this is something that's gonna crop up kind of over the development of the game, or like in different places. Some people welcome the end of the world, and are actively working to kind of hasten it, and some people are not. So that's what scares Jesse the most. Right, let's do connection, haven, and vehicle. Same kind of thing. If I get duplicates, I'm going to re-roll just because it's more interesting. Alright, 9. So Jesse's connection is a spouse. So I'm going to roll again on the names tables to see who Jesse's spouse is. 95. So, no, yeah, 95. That is Tony. Tony with an I. And 30. Tony Goodman, spouse. So I'm going to say that that is Jesse's wife, or like kind of spouse, because in the 90s in the Pacific Northwest, I don't know, my history isn't great. I don't know if gay marriage was legal at that point in that area, but let's assume they're kind of married for all intents and purposes, other than kind of the actual ceremony. And forgive me if it was legal back then. I don't think it was. All right, Tony is her spouse. Haven, where does she feel most at home? D20. A diner, very interesting. So like the Double R diner in Twin Peaks, let's say Jesse and Tony have a damn fine cup of coffee there every day, get some cherry pie, and then talk about the investigation. And last is the vehicle. That is 9. So that is an SUV. I'm going to say be a bit bougie and say Land Rover. Haven, connection, vehicle. Right, how old is Jesse? That is 46 plus 30 is 15, so 45. Okay, now roll for stats. So 11 body, 12 mind, and 10 will plus 2 is plus 2 for the specialism. So that is 12. So 11 body, 12 mind, 12 will. So I should talk a bit more about the stats and what they kind of cover. You won't have to roll in Midnight of the Century unless something's risky, or unless there's a dangerous outcome, a chance of a dangerous outcome. If you're trying to do something like, if you're trying to force a door open, then that would be a body save. So you need to roll under your body score. So if Jesse was trying it here, I rolled a 3 against my body score of 11. That means it's under. It means I succeed. So pop the door, budge the door with my shoulder. And then some skills, if there's a risk, then you need to roll for it, and you rolled against the appropriate stat. And when it comes to will, so there are certain things that trigger a fracture or a fracture check. So essentially, as you're going through your investigation, your will is slowly being whittled away. A, because it's taking it out of you, because it takes a lot out of you to kind of do the investigation, to like be in that kind of world, to put yourself either in the killer's eyes or the killer's shoes, or to kind of see this other world. So it takes that out of you. So every time you fail a save, you gain stress, and that stress reduces your will. Every time you use a specialist skill, so every time you kind of commune with the dead, that causes stress, that reduces your will as well. It also means that if you use a specialist skill that has a save, and you fail that save, then you lose twice as much will to stress. So you need to kind of be aware of that and manage your will accordingly. If your will is reduced to 0, then you experience fracture. So you need to make a fracture check. So that's what this fracture table is for. Or if you roll a 20 if you get a critical failure on a save, so because it's a roll under system, 1 is good, 20 is bad on a d20 roll. If you roll a 20, which is the worst possible outcome, then you experience fracture. And if you confront a killer one-on-one, that causes fracture as well, because it's such a violent and kind of disruptive incident in your life. So you need to roll on the fracture table. So a fracture check is a will save. If you fail that, then you roll on the fracture table. If you make the will save, then you don't need to roll on the fracture table, if that makes sense. And then if you fail the fracture check and experience fracture, then the condition gets put into one of these boxes. At the moment, in the primer, you can only experience each condition once, but that's something that I'm looking at for the full book. It might complicate things, if that makes sense. So will's an important stat because you use it. So it's kind of even more important for an occultist